Do do do, theme song. Do do do, I'm broke so this is my theme song. Do do do, just imagine this is an awesome theme song. Do do, theme song. Left of the box. Hello, welcome to Left of the Box. Bonjour, bienvenue. I'm Sandy. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to this Sunday evening afternoon. I hope you are all well. For some reason, I feel like I'm sounding weird. I have no idea how my audio is sounding, so please give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you can see and hear me. I don't know, I just felt like that hello sounded really weird for some reason. Anyway, welcome everyone. So far in the sandbox, we have Moomy, Real John Litham. I'm just supposed to call you John, aren't I? I keep on forgetting. Jet and Looney Tunes a 9000. Welcome. Ugh. Okay, I got one thumbs up. Good. You can see and hear me. Looney Tune wants to go for 5 hours today. Looney Tunes, if you want me to go to 5 hours, you really need to start paying up. I'm just saying. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I have my standard, international news, federal news, provincial news, other news dockets. Not terribly, terribly long because Twitter still sucks. Well, I'm also trying to shrink the length of my dockets because, doing a 5-hour live stream takes a lot out of me. And I'm still in the situation where if you're working on your desktop, like I am for all you lovely folks, and you go to your bio, your profile page on your Twitter account, it doesn't show you your own likes or your own bookmarks for that matter. Nope. It only shows you that on your phone. So I have to sit here on my phone, go through all my likes and DM them to my Left of the Box account so that I can get them. Super annoying. Oh, John says John or John Litham is fine. Okay, so you're not that real. And apparently I sound okay. Okay. And Moomy is wondering, CTV is targeting independent media? I haven't heard anything about it, but, I'll be sure to keep my eyes open for it. Targeting a conservative channel from the looks of it, she says, but I'd need a lot more information on that before I can comment. But yeah, I have news. Not related to this channel, but related to this channel, that I will be talking about in a little bit when more people have trickled in here. Hello, hermeteorologist. Welcome to the sandbox. I made it onto the majority report on Friday. Yep, I did a phone call. Oh, there's Flow Snake. Hello. Yeah, I did the phone call, and oh my god, I hated it. I hate it. I still get so nervous calling into the majority report. I don't know why. Talking on the phone is just not, if I'm talking on the phone to strangers, I have a really, really hard time with it, neurodivergence-wise. I do a much better job in communicating with people I'm not familiar with on stream, like on a camera type thing. So I don't know, maybe someday I could actually get onto the majority report and then it'd be a lot easier and a lot of my natural sarcastic charm can come out. But like always, there was a lot I wanted to say and then I forgot to say, and something along the lines of how Mark Carney capitulates to Donald Trump all the time. The so-called elbows up slogan. Well, now available in Canada, knee pads for elbows. And the very next day, was it the very next day or something like that? That might have been the very next day or later that day. Mark Carney gave that speech, the speech, about how he's not folding to Donald Trump's whims for the trade talks. So he's not capitulating. Is he? So you know what? I still stand by every single goddamn thing I said. And we'll get into that when I get to his speech. Because, yeah, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. No. Mm-mm. It's just another Davos speech as far as I'm concerned, and we all know how his Davos speech was. Hello, BCat. Welcome to the SandBox. BCat also hates calling on the phone. True Democratic North, welcome. Yeah, so I do have big news for me anyway. But not really related to the channel, but kind of related to the channel, but nothing that you would be thinking of. No, it's not done yet. The initial draft isn't done yet, but it will be done by the end of this week. That's for damn sure. For reasons. So, yeah. Just checking. Where are we for people? Oh, we got about... I don't know how accurate that is when I look over there and see how many people are watching. I don't know. Looney Tunes saying I might record an apology video for my primetime stream getting cut out by severe weather this past Friday. I'll mostly record it tomorrow morning and put it out immediately. Well, I'm sorry to hear that the weather cut you out. It's happened to me once, right when I said, you know what? We just got a really bad thunderstorm, so don't be surprised if the power goes out here. And then power went out. That's the joy of live streaming. But because I was on the majority report on Friday, I might have a few more people watching today, which is nice. It's nice because that bumped my numbers up, my subscribers up over 100 by 100. So I super appreciate that. I got a lot more attention on Blue Sky because somebody who referred to me as Sandra said, whoever Sandra is she on here who said that Mark Carney is right-wing prime minister? So yeah, those type of comments I think go over well on Blue Sky. Whereas on Twitter I'd be like, yeah, your point. Oh no. But we should probably get on into it because I don't want this to be a 5-hour long live stream, Looney Tunes. I just kind of want to scooch through things and then we can chit chat, chill, do whatever, unwind, decompress, you know. It's people need that after, you know, the last decade or so. It's been a pretty stressful time. Okay, so yeah, we'll get into it as always. Well, not as always, but as of more recently, always. Starting with international news, and it is doom and gloom and all that sort of stuff, as you know, it is talking about what's happening to the people in Gaza, what's happening just in general around the world, Canada's lack of acknowledgement of it. Yeah. This government is all talk and no... all talk, all bluster, maybe? They're all bluster and no action, something like that. You know what I mean. They'll talk a good game, but strike a foul? Sure. You know where I'm going with that. You know. Oh. Okay, so let's get into it. Oh, right. I need to plug in my headphones. See, I always forget to do this because I'm usually listening to something right beforehand, right before I go on stream, like some music or something to help get me into the live streaming zone. And I don't like listening through the earbuds because they hurt my ear holes after a while. Anyway, so this is from Dropsite News. Jewish surgeon, Dr. Mark Perlmutter, who volunteered in Gaza, appears in the new documentary American Doctor, summarizes the Israeli government's plan for Palestinians as "I want their land and I'm willing to kill their children to get it." Yeah, this government's lack of involvement or caring about what happens over there, and in fact, endorsing it by sending weapons to Israel, is unconscionable. Absolutely unconscionable. We know it's a genocide. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We know. And watching the people who could do something about it do nothing. Does the word humanity even hold any weight these days? Like, does that mean anything when you talk about the humanity of people? Is that even a thing? Anyway, oh, for people wondering, I was on majority purchased on Friday. I was able to call in. So near the end, I was the last caller of the week, actually. So that could give you an idea. Hello, Big Jerry. And Matthew. Okay, yeah. So before I get too distracted, let's get on to the clip.
We've just been talking about increased and constant attacks on healthcare workers in the West Bank and also in Gaza against civilians. We've seen the attack on a cafe and another attack there that's killed at least 15 people, even in the last 24, 48 hours since Jared Kushner was there talking to the Prime Minister. Mark, what are your feelings as you digest this news?
I personally think that this is part of the Israeli government's, quote, final solution, close quote, for the Palestinian. The Zionistic government of Israel is simply boiling down to, I want their land and I'm willing to kill their children to get it. Killing the press, and I've had press reporters that I've operated on there for high velocity gunshot wounds they were deliberately targeted by snipers. The absolute deliberate killing of children. I personally have seen children shot in both the chest and the head, um, uh, are all designed to destroy the population. The destruction of their food supply, the recent destruction of medical supplies in one of the 4 remaining hospitals, the adoption of software programs that were authored in the United States to follow children home to their from the playground to their home. So
That's AI for you. That's how that's getting involved. The whole surveillance state, it's to help the military do this sort of thing. Target children, target journalists, target families, target innocent people. And they can see who these people are that they're targeting. There are no mistakes. Keep that in mind as we go on with this docket.
they can blow up the entire apartment building with a 2,000-pound bomb. This is all part of the genocide. It's an orchestrated, well-planned, three-dimensional chess game to our checkers about how to destroy a population of people simply so they can have their land.
Okay, so, yeah, Israel knows what they're doing. The IDF is purposely targeting children, civilians, in horrific ways. They're purposely destroying the infrastructure. They're purposely making it so that people can't live in Gaza. It is a genocide. There's no denying it. Any denying it at this point is a choice. You are choosing that denial, which means you're okay with what's happening. Because the Surfset quote tweeted this out saying her last words were, "Come take me. Please come take me. I'm so scared. Come take me." And that's about Hin Rajab, who the Israeli military now acknowledged firing on a car carrying 5-year-old Hin Rajab in Gaza after earlier denials as it opens criminal probe into the January 2024 killing. Not only did they target the car, they targeted with hundreds of gunshots. And then when an ambulance was trying to make its way there to help the family, they blew up the ambulance, killing the 2 ambulance workers. That was intentional. They knew what they were doing. They knew there were children in that car. And Hinge just happened to be on the phone. She was able to get through to a line asking for help. And there's a movie out about it. I can't imagine how devastating it is to hear it in her own words. The fear that she was going through. They targeted her. Oh, but now don't worry. They're going to look into it. Yeah. The people who did it, they're going to look into it. Because the Israeli military, they acknowledge now, oh yeah, we did fire on it. So yeah, we'll look into it, I'm sure. Yeah. But speaking of looking into their own things, Ryan Grimm had quote tweeted this out saying, reminder that IDF recently said it called off strikes after noticing curly sideburns on its target, assessing correctly they were Jewish settlers, not Palestinians. Now Israel claims striking vehicles marked World Central Kitchen 3 straight times was somehow a mistake that couldn't be avoided. And so here is what they were what he was quote tweeting. Let's just go back to the World Kitchen statement first. So the World Central Kitchen had tweeted out, we strongly condemn the Israeli military prosecutor's account of the deaths of our 7 colleagues on April 1st, 2024. And we fundamentally disagree with their decision about criminal investigation into the IDF airstrikes that killed our team. And their full statement is right here. Let's make that bigger for you. There has never been any excuse or justification for the attacks, and there is nothing in this account that does so. The decision is inconsistent with the full truth and deeply offensive. At the time of the lethal attacks, the IDF knew that our team in Gaza was unarmed and posing a threat to nobody. It had full visual clarity on our clearly marked humanitarian vehicles during the extended multiple airstrikes. It knew our team's movements, identities, and activities in advance. The military investigation conflates different timelines and events, muddies the story, and shifts the blame for the IDF illegal conduct. We continue to demand truth and justice for our team and their families. We continue to demand independent commission to investigate the airstrikes because the IDF cannot credibly investigate its own conduct. And we continue to grieve the loss of our friends. So here's a news conference about that. This person tweeting out, as a reminder, Israel struck the World Central Kitchen vehicles 3 times. A reporter asked Kirby at the time, how could the second and third strike on marked vehicles be a mistake? Kirby replied, why don't we see what Israel find?
You described the strike as a possible mistake by Israel. According to Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, it wasn't 1 strike, but 3. The first one, then an interval during which aid workers got out of their vehicles, removed the wounded, tried to move to another vehicle which was struck, and then a 3rd strike as they tried to move and escape in a 3rd vehicle, at which point all of them were dead. How would the 2nd and 3rd strikes of these marked vehicles be a mistake? And why would the U.S. not more forcefully set conditions on the use of U.S.-made weaponry when it is being used to target aid workers? If the first one was a mistake, the second 2 were targeted with the intent of killing everyone in that convoy. So how do you respond to that?
First of all, there's an investigation going on. So why don't we let it get done? And why don't we see what they find in terms of the decision-making process that led to this terrible outcome? Prime Minister and the IDF have noted that it was their error. If you don't like the word mistake, their error. They're investigating it. Let them do that work and let them see what they come up with, and then we'll go from there.
And sorry, one more, John. 2 years ago, the IDF killed an Al Jazeera journalist. They said that was a mistake. That she was wearing a marked press vest. She was shot anyway.
They investigated it, and they released the findings of their investigation, which found that they were at fault. Go on.
But my question, sir, is, in that case, the Israelis did not initiate any criminal proceeding. In this case, if it's found that the marked convoy was deliberately targeted, if not with the first shot, but the second 2 shots, would the U.S. support criminal penalties?
As I said, we would expect that should there be a need for accountability, that accountability be properly put in place for whoever may be responsible for this. But again, a lot of that's going to depend on the investigation.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it can also get into the situation where it's like, yeah, we investigated ourselves. We fucked up, sure, but nothing's going to happen. So even if they investigate themselves and the evidence is just so overwhelmingly points to them, doing exactly what everyone knows that they had done, then what? Are there any consequences? Does Canada stop all trade with Israel? Do we expel their ambassador? Do we stop selling them weapons? Anything? Are there any actual consequences, even when they admit they did something wrong? So, yeah, we personally, I can't take Israel's word for anything. And when they admit they did something wrong, it's probably even more wrong. Like when they acknowledge that, oh yeah, it's probably like 100,000 people have been killed so far. That means there's been a lot more people in Gaza killed than that. Let's see. Go. Thank you, the True Democratic North, so much for the $2 super chat. I really, really appreciate it. It helps the channel out a lot. So here we have the Australian government declares itself outraged at Israel's insulting decision not to investigate the IDF's killing of 7 World Central Kitchen aid workers, including Australian Zumi Francom and Canadian Forces veteran Jacob Flickinger. Canada so far has no comment. And this was the comment from Australia, just saying that they are outraged. The Israeli government has decided not to pursue criminal proceedings against those responsible for killing those people. Zumi represented the best of Australia. Her courage deserves to be celebrated. Her family deserves justice. This decision falls far short of the accountability we expect. Yeah, they're not going to be holding themselves accountable for anything. As I keep on saying on this channel, Israel's going to continue doing what they're doing until one of two things happen. And the first thing is they achieve their goals. And the second thing is if other nations force them to stop. And so far, that's not the case. The other nations haven't been forcing them to stop. So thank you so much, Stanley Beckett, for the 5 squiggly marked super chat. I really appreciate it. Saying there is one simple principle: Israel lies and lies and lies and lies. Prove me wrong. Yeah. We can't trust anything they say. Like they're only a murderous force committing genocide on a helpless population. Is it so hard to believe they would also lie? Can't be the most trustworthy people. And Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East just saying Canada's silence on these egregious attacks on human rights and international law, from Israel's killing of aid workers and its E1 settlement project to U.S. sanctions on the ICC, is completely unacceptable. Perpetrators must be held accountable. So Canada did eventually sign a joint statement. And so this is again from Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East, saying Canada has signed a joint statement with Australia and the UK calling it shameful for Israel not to pursue criminal investigation into the killing of the World Central Kitchen aid workers in April 2024. The countries say that announcing this decision on World Humanitarian Day, while the world honored the courage and sacrifice of humanitarians, was particularly egregious, and that this attack is one of the countless incidences in Gaza where there has been no accountability. What is missing from this statement, however, is any consequences. Israeli impunity simply cannot be allowed to continue. Seeking justice for the victims must include sanctions on Israel. And I've been over it before, and I should probably work on going back since the beginning since October 8th on all the joint statements Canada has made about like, ooh, this is bad, but Israel has the right to defend itself. Oh, but this is so bad, but Israel has the right to defend itself. We don't think this is good. We're not going to do anything about it. Wow, that one was particularly bad, but do you know what else is bad? Hamas. That's pretty much how it goes. With all these statements, it's like, ooh, a sternly worded letter. That will get the point across. If this worked, these joint statements, these words on a screen, if that actually worked, the genocides wouldn't still be going on. These are useless. They're absolutely useless. So the Serf's just pointing out Mark Carney is a Zionist and the Liberal continues to arm Israel genocide. That is true in CTV News. It's getting bad when they say Canada is silent as Israel clears itself in death of aid worker, including a Canadian. And this is from the article here, Ottawa. Unacceptable for Israel to clear self in killing of Canadian aid worker peers. So there was a statement from Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand, the Prime Minister, and they say it's unacceptable, but it is acceptable because he ain't doing dick all about it. So Israel's conclusion that its military didn't commit a criminal act when it killed a Canadian and 6 others aid workers 2 years ago is unacceptable. Anand commented a day after Israel's military prosecutors said it decided against criminal investigations into April 2024 airstrikes that hit a convoy of the WCK vehicles. The strikes killed Jacob Flickinger, a military veteran from Quebec, along with a Palestinian and aid workers from the United Kingdom, Australia, and the United States. Former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called for an independent rapid investigation following the aid workers' deaths and disputed suggestions by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the time that collateral deaths are a normal part of war. It shouldn't just happen when you have aid workers for an extraordinary organization like WCK risking their lives every day in an incredibly dangerous place to deliver food to people who are experiencing a horrific humanitarian catastrophe, Trudeau said. I don't think he ever said the genocide word, because as we would point out whenever he put out a statement like this, what's causing it, Justin? What's causing that humanitarian catastrophe? Are you going to name it? No. Trudeau was a proud Zionist. So on Thursday, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand said it's unacceptable the Israeli military did not pursue criminal investigation into the deaths. I'll read the statement is next. So, okay, yeah, that's all about the statement. So we'll get into that. So the serfs again just pointing out Canada is actively arming Israel. The Liberals are complicit in genocide. So Anita Anand said, the IDF's decision not to pursue a criminal investigation into the killing of 7 World Central Kitchen humanitarian workers, including Jacob Flickinger, a Canadian citizen, is unacceptable. Serious failures were identified with the conduct of the strike, and closing the case without further accountability leaves their families without answers they have sought for more than 2 years. Humanitarian workers delivering food and other life-saving assistance in conflict zones must be protected. Canada expects international humanitarian law to be upheld and will continue pressing for a full accounting of what happened, along with justice for the 7 workers who were killed and their families. Canada expects international humanitarian law to be upheld. At what point has it ever been upheld with Israel's actions? How many times have they violated humanitarian law? And they just keep on doing it and doing it and doing it. All the journalists they killed, all the doctors, all the innocent civilians. Hell, even Hamas. Don't they deserve a trial? Don't they deserve to, be treated with some sort of dignity and respect other than being blown to bits with their families? What about all the people buried under the rubble? What about the destruction of the infrastructure, the hospitals and universities? What about the incursion still into the West Bank? What about all of those things that violate humanitarian law? Are you ever going to do anything about it, Anita? Ever? Or are you just going to tweet it out? Tweet through it? What a sickening excuse of a government. But we do have somebody in the government who, well, sort of in the government. He doesn't have a seat yet. Avi Lewis, leader of the federal NDP, says our government talks about Canadian values on the world stage, but we need to act with moral clarity when it matters. That's in reference to Mark Carney's Davos speech. We'll be talking more about that in a little bit. It's long past time to cancel the Canada-Israel Free Trade Agreement, issue sanctions, and use every diplomatic tool at our disposal to rein in this rogue state. Anything less is a green light for Israel to continue killing civilians with impunity. That is correct. It's nice to see a leader of one of our federal parties say this out loud for a change. To acknowledge that we actually have to do something other than, put out a statement. Speaking of statements, another one went out. Ooh, what's this one about? So Israel will not, and this is from CJPME, quote, tweeting out this new statement saying Israel will not back down from its doomsday E1 settlement expansion until there are real consequences. If countries like Canada are serious, they must immediately impose sanctions against any person, organization, or company involved in this war crime. So, this is a new statement, not to be confused with the last joint statement sent out. This is a new one. So I'm sure it's going to be different this time with this statement for something else. I'm sure it's going to have a huge impact. Because the last one that they did, like the day before, that made all the difference. So, joint statement from the leaders of the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Norway, and Canada. The Israeli government decision to publish construction tenders for the E1 settlement project is unacceptable. The international community has long opposed the settlement expansion and has voiced their grave concerns privately and publicly. The E1 settlement will undermine the prospects of the two-state solution by driving a wedge through the West Bank and harming the territorial continuity of Palestinian territories. Are they mentioning, I haven't read this ahead of time, are they mentioning that it's illegal? That there are illegal settlements being made? That this is basically Israel invading the West Bank? Are they mentioning that? That people are being brutalized, murdered, their homes destroyed, their farmland destroyed, wells being filled up with garbage and cement? Are they mentioning any of that? So international law is clear that the Israeli settlements in the West Bank are illegal. Okay, so they did at least say that. This is the position of the international community reaffirmed by the United Nations Security Council. At the time of grave instability, the West Bank, with unprecedented levels of violence by settlers against civilians and serious restrictions on the Palestinian economy, the decision is even more concerning. We urge the government, they urge them, big urge there, do the right thing, won't ya? We urge you to do the right thing. We're not going to do anything about it if you don't, but we're really there's an urgency that we're talking about. So we urge the government of Israel to retract these plans immediately and end its expansion of settlements in the West Bank. And maybe pull out all the other illegal ones while you're at it. Not only will they take us further from peace, but they further undermine Israel's international standing. I don't think you can make their international standing any worse than it already is. It's pretty much at the bottom of the barrel. It's you'd have to dig a hole in order to undermine them anymore, because yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad outside of Western nations. People's opinion of Israel, and even in Western nations, just the general population, their opinion of Israel, it's really bad. Really bad. Businesses should not consider bidding for construction tenders. They should be aware of illegal reputational consequences, including the risk of involving themselves in serious breaches of international law. We reiterate the commitment to comprehensive, just, and lasting peace based on a two-state solution. We will continue to act in its interest. Two-state solution ain't happening. That's just been their go-to for the past decades. To not have a real solution. It's like, oh, we should do a two-state solution. Well, they absolutely do not try to do anything about it. And this is just more about the warning to businesses. And this is from the Government of Canada's site, advisory to Canadian businesses. Today, the Global Affairs Canada and the Canadian Trade Commissioner Service have issued the following advisory to highlight risks associated with Israeli settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. The Government of Canada strongly advises. Again, we urge you to Canadian business against engaging in economic and financial activities associated with Israeli settlements. This advisory is intended to support informed decision-making and does not constitute legal advice. Canadian businesses are encouraged to seek independent legal counsel, blah, 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 blah. And then they're just basically, look, we're warning all you businesses right now. We're not doing anything about it right now, but in the future, if we have people who really actually want to make sure that there's consequences for, what Israel's doing in the West Bank and stuff, we don't want you caught up in that. We don't. We're giving you some time to think about this because, we're okay with it. We're not going to do anything about it. But future governments, they might have issues and they might go after you and try holding you accountable for supporting a genocidal state. So just, do business, but do it with that knowledge that future administrations could actually crack down on you. So more from CJPME. Canada just issued important new guidance which strongly advises businesses not to participate in activities that directly or indirectly support. Yeah. And they say, while this is a positive step forward, we have to note that Canada is already breaking its own advice by extending free trade benefits to settlement businesses under Canada-Israel Free Trade Agreement. Yeah, I don't think they're going to crack down on these businesses. It's just they're covering their ass for the future. Canada must finally cancel CIFTA and prohibit all economic dealings with Israel's settlement enterprise. Further, we continue to urge the Prime Minister, stop with the urging, to publicly warn any person that or entity involved in settlement activities, including the E1 expansion, will face economic sanctions from Canada. Yeah, we can't urge this Prime Minister to do anything. We'll be talking more about him in a little bit. Now, why is this this Canada still will just send out a strongly worded statement. Say, oh, they must respect humanitarian law. All this sort of stuff. It's like they need some sort of like thing to go so bad, so wrong that they're like, oh, well, now we can't avoid it anymore and we have to do something about it. But there is no line. None. There is no point in which Canada will finally be like, oh, we should crack down on them. We should sanction Israel. We should end all our ties. We should no longer send them weapons because they're going to be used on civilians. Israel's committing a genocide. There is no line in which this government will finally do something about it. And why do I say that? Well, it's because Israel, the people in charge there, they're just saying it. Like, I see a lot of the Zionists will push back, like, ooh, in order for it to be a genocide, you have to prove intent. Yeah, they've done that. They've done that over and over. All the intent that they had in wiping out all the Palestinians. They've made that clear right from the get-go. From before October 7th, they made it clear this was their goal. And so here we have these milquetoast statements coming out from our governments. Well, what's this douche canoe's name? Ben-Gvir is saying absolutely horrendous things like this out loud on camera with no shame. And so Owen Jones had quote tweeted this out saying, "This isn't some random psycho. Here's Israeli National Security Minister. He runs prisons and police, where they just made it that if a Palestinian is convicted of terrorism, it's the automatic death penalty." That's just, yeah. The government relies on his party's support. Neither do his comments exist in a vacuum. Polling shows 76% of Jewish Israelis think there are no innocents in Gaza. If Netanyahu goes, it doesn't end what's going on there. There's no individual that can be taken out of power or punished to stop what is happening. This has gone far beyond one person. So Ryan had tweeted out this clip saying Israel's Ben-Gvir calling for nightly kill quota in Gaza. So I'm just going to read this out because it's not in English. So he says here, there is no secret. This is no secret, I agree with. I think we need to carry out targeted operations in Gaza every single night to take down 30, 40, not just those who are an immediate threat to you. No, there are people who are not human beings. So just totally stripping away the humanity of the people who live in Gaza. They don't need to live. They are not people. I also give them what I call humanity. And I think we need to silence them with treatment, with aid, with the embrace of the Israeli people, but also by fighting these enemies I literally see. All of our Gaza. Amen. Settlements not just in Gush, throughout all of Gaza, to encourage more migration, to send them to their countries, and the terrorists. Zero migration, zero nothing. Yeah. And it goes on from there. I'll just let it play through and you can finish reading the quotes if you so like.
אותם להרוג אחד אחד.
כן, ביטחון לאומי של מדינת ישראל, לאזרחים, מה תאחל לנכי צה"ל, למשפחות השכולות.
אושר, נחת, הרבה הרבה אהבה, ובעזרת השם, אינשאללה, כמה שיותר מהר כמה שיותר מהר.
as fast as
שאנחנו
possible,
ניכנס
that we
לכל עזה,
enter all of Gaza,
נתיישב בכל עזה,
settle all of Gaza.
נעודד הגירה, ואני אומר שוב, כל לילה צריך להוריד 30, 40, 50 מחבלים בעזה,
Again,
רק
every
בעזה
night we need
עצמה.
to kill 30, 40 people. Just disgusting. Oh, but Canada sent out a strongly worded statement. Like, how can we know what's in their hearts? Where's the intent? They're making it pretty fucking clear what they want to do. Oh, but you know, we did our part here in Canada. We had the statement. Like, what more could we possibly do? They're like over there. There's nothing more we could do. We've just, you know, we put out words. They say, you know, the pen is mightier than the sword. These people are monsters. Absolute monsters. Anyone supporting them is a monster. So the media also has different ways of handling this, of course. So somebody just pointing out, reshape West Bank is a crazy way to describe ethnic cleansing and land theft, because apparently the BBC over in the UK, I think it stands for, oh man, I had an acronym for something about bootlicking. Anyway, how Israel is expanding settlements in drive to reshape West Bank. That's their headline there, the BBC. The British Bootlicking Corporation. We'll go with that. British Bootlicking Corporation. How Israel's expanding settlements and drive to reshape West Bank. Yeah, that's what we're doing. They're just reshaping it by, you know, taking it over illegally, doing ethnic cleansing, killing people, brutalizing people, destroying their homes and land, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's reshaping it. Absolutely disgusting people. But just a reminder, here in Canada, if you try speaking out about it, this happened back in May, mock hangings at Montreal pro-Palestinian rally being investigated by Hate Crimes Unit. So the person that we just heard say that like 30 to 40 people need to be killed per night because they're all, he thinks they're not even people. Yeah, the ones that are invading the West Bank and all that sort of stuff. If you protest against him and hang an effigy of him, apparently that constitutes, you know, an investigation by a hate crimes unit here in Canada. And so, just a reminder, this was from a while ago. In the footage posted to the group's Instagram page, the faces of the effigies resemble U.S. President Donald Trump, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and Israeli politician Itamar Ben-Gvir. In its post Wednesday, the group added the photo of the effigies with the politicians labeled. So they were accused, these protesters were accused of being anti-Semitic because Ben-Gvir was wearing a kippah. So it's like, oh, it's an anti-Semitic attack. It's not an attack against this fucking monster here. Who just said that he wants to wipe out all of Gaza and have a kill quota. You can't have a fascist takeover without a complicit media. And, you know, again, where are the actions to back up these strongly worded statements? Where's any involvement of the Canadian government to say, you know what, maybe we should start cracking down on these people? Because here we have Samira, she's an independent Palestinian reporter here in Canada, saying, last week I reported on a rabid Israeli extremist settler. So rabid Israeli extremist settler, I don't know, this person King, coming to Toronto and Montreal on August 25th, 26th to 30th. Nor corporate media has reported on it yet. How is this not a story? Canada condemns settlements, but is allowing the architect of those land thefts to come here. Now remember, Canada banned Kneecap from coming to this country. A rap group. They banned a rap group from coming here for just saying down with the IDF. But somebody who's orchestrating the ethnic cleansing of an area, totally fine for him to come over. If I wasn't Canadian, I probably wouldn't be allowed to come into Canada with all the things that I've been saying about what Israel is doing. But this guy who's helping with this ethnic cleansing and killing and brutalizing, he's allowed to come over to give talks, be treated like a celebrity. So Samira had reported Mir Weinstein, former director of the terror group Jewish Defense League, invites extremist settler and Jerusalem deputy mayor, this guy King or whatever his name is, to Toronto. I reached out to Canada border for response. Israel's own media refers to King as an extremist right-wing settler. Even the Israeli government probed him for inciting terror. King also posted that he would have buried Palestinians alive if it was up to him, referring to them as subhuman. King also founder of the Israel Land Fund, created to dispossess Palestinians from their homes and land. Canada condemned these actions, yet the man responsible is making his way here. King boasts about dispossession of Palestinian homes in these areas. King also boasted about bulldozing and demolishing the UN building in occupied East Jerusalem, referring to the United Nations as the enemy and Nazis. A Nazi calls somebody else a Nazi? That doesn't make them a Nazi. The Israeli government probed him for inciting terror after settlers set fire to the building. King also saluted the Israeli settlers who were destroying and stopping aid from getting into Gaza. King regularly incites hate and violence against Muslims and Palestinians. This is his post from just today. Canada must not allow this right-wing extremist settler into the country. If Jonas faced policy regarding extremism must stop. It's John? Yeah, Jonas. So this was his post. This is what the invasion of England looks like. Oh, just talking about immigrants going into the UK. Yeah. So Canada's for Justice and Peace in the Middle East, we're also warning about this. And they have a petition here for people to sign. So I will toss this into the SandBox. So that people can, try to make it so that he can't come in. Because somebody like this who has bragged about war crimes shouldn't be allowed in the country. Shouldn't be embraced with open arms. This isn't a free speech thing. This is consequences for actions. So please sign the petition if you're here in Canada. Also, when it comes to the press around the world, there's a story in the United States that is just absolutely devastating and heartbreaking with their ICE agents, which is just basically an offshoot of the IDF. It's the IDF of America. So the Intercept has been reporting on it. Somewhere in a sweltering desert, cockroaches scurry around the cell of Carlitos Ricardo Perez. He holds up a plastic bottle, gazing at the worm-like creatures swimming in his drinking water. His other arm is turning purple from a gunshot wound, which he says he hasn't received proper medical care. His gulag isn't in distant Soviet or Banana Republic. It's about an hour and a half from Disneyland in a small California town called Adelanto. I'll toss this article from The Intercept into the SandBox. So if you have an account there, you can read it. But speaking of journalists and the horrible actions that can happen through this complicit media with the likes of the BBC and the CBC and their tainted views and all that sort of stuff. A heartbreaking story came out of the UK. Jason Adre. I only found out about this story after he left this world. Why there wasn't anybody else like speaking up more vocally for him when he was under attack? Like, I remember seeing these types of gang ups on people when I was a child in school, where they would just target a vulnerable person and everyone would keep on harassing and targeting that vulnerable person until they snapped. It was a game to them. And they did this to this man because he's black, no doubt about it. Just some of the details on how the media went after him. He was a professor and he was accused of plagiarism, which apparently wasn't even true. And people were dissecting his life, calling him a liar on everything he had done, all of his achievements, saying he wouldn't have his job if it wasn't for DEI, that he wasn't qualified. And this was started by an openly blatant racist person who does the whole, race IQ thing. And they hounded him to death. When I look at the things that Jason has done, he should have been a role model. He was, probably, to a lot of people. He did so much good. And it's just heartbreaking to learn about somebody who was so good after this has happened. So there is a petition in the UK to ask for a public inquiry into the media's treatment of him, which drove him to end his life. So if you're in the UK, if you're a pond jumper here, there's the link. I know Owen Jones has done a video on this. The Tabernacle has also covered this. Norvara Media is... Let's just say the founders of that network were part of the problem. So I have a hard time taking anything they say about this case seriously. So you can check out Owen Jones' video on it, the Tabernacle's video on it. There's other people who've done videos on it. I wouldn't go for any mainstream media sources, though, when covering this, because they were the ones that were part of the crowd that hounded him to death. Okay, so that's it for those dockets. I'll close these all off. Make sure that I don't close the tab that I want to sign the petition to keep that genocidal monster out of this country. Because the petitions that I ask you guys to sign, I sign them, but I just wait till after the stream so you're not seeing my address and stuff. Because it's important to get involved and do, anything we can to make a difference in this. So that's it for international news. We'll be moving on to federal news next. But before we do so, go and check the SandBox. See, I'm pointing to the right side now. I'm pointing at the SandBox when I'm saying it, because it's over there. Okay. Let's see. Stanley Beckett surprised to see CNN on broadcasts like this. Sometimes they have articles that are relevant. It's all mainstream media. Hello, Big Jerry. I think I said hi to you already, but hello. Again. Hello, the Wild West. Welcome to the SandBox. Atticus Among Us. Stanley Beckett saying also it is highly likely that the RAF has photos of what happened as they were carrying out surveillance flights for Israel in the area, which of course the British government denies. Talking about the hit on the World Central Kitchen trucks, I believe. That's the timing of that. Let's see. Hello, Shemegli. Welcome to the SandBox. It's been a while. Let's see. Shemegli saying justice delayed is justice denied. Yeah. Atticus Among Us saying heard Turkey put an arrest warrant for Bibi. Well, he has an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court, I believe. So if they follow that, then also, is it Turkey or someone else that Israel is looking to attack next? I don't know. It's so hard to keep track of all the people they want to attack. Stanley Beckett, UK couldn't even make its own statement, hiding behind Canadian and Australian skirts. God, I hate my own government. Let's see. The Wild West, politics can become a cult mindset. Zionists need to be deprogrammed, de-radicalized in the same way Islamist extremists are. And white supremacists, obviously, racist nationalism is a violent cult. The Wild West likes the British Bootlicker Corporation. Yes, I was reading I was not translating from Hebrew, low stake. There were words. I was reading what was on the screen. Hello, Reference Frame. Welcome to the SandBox. Hello, Corvid Black. Welcome to the SandBox. Not sure I've seen you before. Other people referring to the BBC as BIBIC, the nickname for Benjamin Netanyahu. Oh, hello, Rusty. Welcome to the SandBox. Ah, I jumped. Where was I? Oh, those were the links that I just tossed in there. The Wild West referring to Jason as being hunted. Yeah. Corvid Black saying this story was pretty heartbreaking. Yeah, from everything I've learned about Jason, he was just like an amazing person. And yeah, like I can't imagine many people could withstand the harassment that he received for simply being a Black professional. Because as a lot of people have pointed out, there were white professionals who were actually guilty of things like plagiarism and other things that the media hasn't said boo about. Flow Snake Channel 4 News, Cambridge's youngest Black professor on YouTube interview with Jason a couple years ago. I'll recommend it. It helped me to celebrate him in life, not just rage about his death. Hello, Boku. Welcome to the SandBox. Heard my call on the majority report. Yeah, I still get way too nervous calling in. I could hear my voice shake. I don't know if it translated. Hello, Christy. Welcome to the SandBox. Hello, Chris Wild. Doing a 5-hour live stream means you like to hear yourself talk. That's all that means. It doesn't mean you're intelligent or anything. It just means you like to hear yourself talk. Well, actually, you're the ones hearing me talk. But no, I talk with myself all the time though. I think I'm a good conversationalist. So yeah, and there are lots of live streamers who stream for 5 hours that are not that intelligent. So yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say I fall into that category, but you know, you do you. But thank you for engaging in the SandBox. It really helps in the algorithms to get out to more people. And lots of people actually do stick around for my entire live stream, which even I find is kind of wild. Matthew thinks my MR call was great. Oh, well, that's good. Yeah. Okay. So how are we for time? It's only been an hour. I still have 3 more dockets to go through. Yeah, my call into the majority report was on Friday. It was the last call of the week, so that can kind of gauge where it was in the live stream. But I hate calling in. I hate it. I hate it. But I wanted to get in sooner than later. I do have news that I will share with people once we get a bit further into this. But please, if you're new, hit that like and subscribe. Hello. Oh, man. I can never pronounce your name. Harfunkel Rathi. Hit that like and subscribe, share the stream, comment in the SandBox. It helps in the algorithms. Every little bit helps getting it out there to people. Yeah, so next we're going to be talking about Mark Carney. So we'll start off with something that isn't related to his speech, and then I'll start ranting about his speech type thing. Let's get back to this. And then I have to go here. One of these days, I'm going to have a much smoother process for all of this. There we go. So, from Rachel Gilmore, she had posted this clip of herself saying, after announcing a big clean energy deal earlier this week, Carney took a victory lap. We're living through the consequences of a world that collectively hasn't taken climate change seriously enough, he said. It's part of his latest effort to greenwash his climate record. Yeah, so Mark Carney is really good at saying one thing and doing another, or saying one thing and then turning around and saying another thing. So here he is saying that we're living through the consequences of a world that collectively hasn't taken climate change seriously enough. Well, was it just last week, the week before, where he was saying, yeah, we're not going to actually match the milquetoast climate goals of the previous Liberal government under Justin Trudeau because, you know, we can't sacrifice long-term economic gains for short-term goals like the environment. That's what he just said a little while ago. And this is why I put no stake in the words he says, because he will just change it given whatever week he's on. I care about his actions. And his actions right now are pretty damn brutal when it comes to this country. So here's a little bit of her video here.
After announcing a massive clean energy deal earlier this week, Prime Minister Mark Carney took a victory lap. Take a listen.
We're living through the consequences of a world that collectively hasn't taken climate change seriously enough.
Says the man who isn't taking climate change seriously at all.
Canada will do our part, not with promises and pronouncements, but with bold actions and major investment.
The audacity would be shocking if it wasn't so predictable, especially given just a day later, U.S. President Donald Trump began heavily hinting that the Keystone XL pipeline might be revived as a part of the ongoing Canada-U.S. trade talks, which would mean, yes, another oil pipeline. Regardless of whether Keystone XL comes back from the dead, Carney's climate record has been nothing short of abysmal. Far from doing our part, the government under this prime minister has abandoned climate targets, shredded environmental regulations, and aggressively pursued oil extraction in Alberta. That's not to say that the Churchill Falls deal
I think we know who the culprit is.
isn't important. Some climate advocates are thrilled with the federal government's massive investment in clean energy and see it as a meaningful step towards Carney's promise to double our electrical grid. The deal is also huge for both Newfoundland and Labrador and Quebec, for a variety of long-standing reasons that are not the focus of this piece. But in short, this was a good announcement, though not final, as Inuit in Quebec have rejected the deal, and the Quebec election could upend it. But for Carney to use this announcement as evidence that Canada is doing our part in the fight against the climate crisis, well, that's just political spin. Isabel McMurray, a national policy analyst at Climate Action Network Canada, told me, quote, "I don't think the Churchill Falls announcement changes anything for me. We are living through the consequences of a world that collectively hasn't taken climate change seriously enough, being led by a government without a climate plan. We have no clear vision of Carney's climate agenda. We don't know that he understands the consequences of his climate rollbacks. We have no data and no modeling, and we have no coherent strategy for reducing emissions in line with our international commitments." This particular flavor of political propaganda comes at a time when Carney's government has pushed to reclaim some green credentials in the public eye. In addition to the hard push to sell the Churchill Falls announcement as evidence of its action on climate change, ads touting Canada's push to lower emissions have been hitting screens across the country. According to Meta's ad library,
Yeah, so you can go to her channel to see the full video, which is just over 7 minutes long. I'll put the link for y'all into the SandBox. So this is a link to the full thing right here. So next we're going to get into the speech from Mark Carney that just came out. So, as some of you know, I called into the Majority Report on Friday. Hello, Grand Theft Autobot. Welcome to the SandBox. And I was mentioning that Mark Carney is probably the worst prime minister of my lifetime and is right-wing, not just conservative, but actually right-wing. And I made a little bit of a case for it and so on and so forth. I forgot to mention, I have my line, how he's capitulated to the United States and Donald Trump so many times, he has that slogan, elbows up. Well, now available in Canada, knee pad for elbows. And then like later that day, or yeah, I think it was just later that day, Mark Carney comes out with a speech, saying that that they've walked away from the trade talks with Donald Trump because they were bad. Yeah, so he made a speech. And do you know what I say to that? So fucking what? He did that speech in Davos, and everyone was like, "Oh, the prime minister, he's such a good." This was for show, nothing more. Like, this isn't going to do anything. If he's actually serious about finally coming to terms with the fact that he could have never gotten a good deal with Donald Trump, is he going to go back and take back every capitulation he's done? That bridge deal that just happened, where now half the revenue is going to the United States as a way to appease Donald Trump, is he going to stop that? Are we going to get the digital service tax back that he got rid of, for Donald Trump? All the things he did to make Donald Trump and corporations happy, that he preemptively did, is he going to reverse those? No, he won't. Because this speech is nothing but a bunch of bullshit, just like his Davos speech was nothing but a bunch of bullshit. His Davos speech was him saying, that sign in the window, we're going to take it down. Yeah, and replace it. The exact same sign, but a different font. And that's pretty much what he did. This feels like a lot of the times when it's like Donald Trump finally did something that wasn't moronic. And people are like, wow, he's finally president. Well, Mark Carney just gave a really good speech, so he's finally the prime minister that we all thought he was. No, he's not. And I didn't think he was this prime minister. No, I do not take back anything I've said, because I want to wait and see. What does Mark Carney do with this? And he did that public speech on the stage type thing with this. And so everyone has heard this and thinks, oh, he's standing up to Donald Trump. This is so great. Where will we be in a couple weeks, though, when the media has not paying so much attention? When the people will remember this speech, aren't plugged in, back to school, people are busy. When Mark Carney turns around and capitulates to Donald Trump yet again, will the media be pointing that out? This is nothing but a bunch of bullshit, the speech that he did. Nothing but a bunch of bullshit. He also says that he's going to help businesses through this trying time of tariffs, small businesses and medium-sized businesses that are going to get hit with these tariffs. Yeah, he'll help businesses, but will he help people who can't afford groceries as is? Is he going to help with the cost of living, the average person, maybe the person who isn't working? Is he going to help them in any way while all the prices skyrocket because of this trade war? Or is he just going to send check to businesses? The things he actually cares about. I am open to changing my mind. I need to see the actions. I need to see him put in a plan that actually supports all Canadians through this, not just the businesses. I need to see him reverse some of those things he did to try to win favor with Donald Trump. I need to see him stand even stronger against any trade and all that sort of stuff to separate us more from the United States. But in that speech he did, he already is going back on some of the things that he was saying in it. Let's go over some of it, shall we? The Wild West is pointing out that no justice is raiding. Well, thank you and welcome, Pawn Jumpers. I super appreciate you coming out. I'm just about to talk about Mark Carney. He gave a speech. And people were like, whew, it's a really good speech. Yeah. Really good. Just like his Davos speech. Really good at presenting, you know, and saying words. Really good at that. Anyway, everyone go check out No Justice and her channel. She does great work. Welcome, Pawn Jumpers. We have absolutely Crichton coming in. Doc Davies. Welcome, welcome. A little while ago, I popped in a link to a petition for people to sign in the UK to have people launch an investigation into the media's conduct towards the hounding death of Jason Aubrey. So I can probably just toss that link into the SandBox again because I still have it up on my screen. So if you're in the UK, please click that link and sign for a public inquiry into the media's conduct of that. Let's see. Okay, so this is the speech, and we're not going to be listening to the whole hour of it because it is almost an hour long. But there's just some spots that I want to get to. Okay, so we get to the intro, which is right around here.
Arm that blows in from Washington.
And I can probably put it down to this speed here. He's actually a very slow talker, so he's still going to sound somewhat normal.
Stable avec les États-Unis, un accès de plus en plus ouvert. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. I'd like to take this opportunity to update Canadians on developments in our trade negotiations with the United States. I'm going to go through why we're walking away from a bad deal and what comes next. Pendant une bonne partie de notre histoire, les Canadiens et les Canadiens ont worked in good faith with the United States to negotiate. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous et le partenaire par excellence à l'étranger. For over a year, Canada has worked intensively and in good faith with the United States to negotiate a new comprehensive trade deal. We've been pragmatic, patient, and persistent. We pursued every opportunity to reach an agreement that protects Canadian workers and their families, that strengthens our economy, and that respects Canadian sovereignty.
So how many times has he tried this with the United States? Like, it's just, I wonder, what was it now? And some people are pointing out the fact that Donald Trump was trying to say, or the United States was trying to make it so that Canada couldn't have any trade negotiations with other countries and stuff. So that was finally the straw that broke the back, was them trying to dictate who we could and couldn't do business with. But again, we got to wait a couple weeks to see what he does, what Carney does to capitulate. Because these are all empty words.
We've been under no illusions. We recognized from the start that America has changed. Early last year in this room, I observed that the decades-long process of steadily increasing integration between our economies was over. Our government understood before many that America would transform all of its commercial relationships, that it would put a series of tariffs on its closest allies and use economic integration as a weapon. We recognized that sometimes its signature was written in pencil. We worked in that context to try to strike a fair deal on which Canadian businesses and...
Ooh, its signature was written in pencil. No, actually, it was written in marker. I have it in here. I have it where... Oh, no, I don't have it in this screen. I'll have to say thank you to you afterwards. Split mentality. I'll say thank you to you in a moment for the super chat.
Workers could rely. Our goal has always been to get the best deal for Canadians, never a deal at any price or on any time frame. Last month, when the United States announced another round of unjustified tariffs, I gave our negotiating team a new mandate to seek a fair deal negotiated in good faith. Because I believe...
Yeah, seek a fair deal, just, you know, negotiated in justice and good faith. And when has that ever been the case with the United States, doing deals with them? Like, just even playing that game with the United States? No. No. We should have been cutting them off a long time ago. And strengthening ourselves and being a more independent nation that isn't relying so much on the United States. Because, yeah. Who could have seen this coming other than everyone who's paying attention?
That people on the ground, on both sides of our border, want this relationship to work. The bonds between Canadians and Americans are long, and they remain strong. A mutually beneficial trade agreement is possible, one that respects our sovereignty, one that builds on our complementary strengths, one that lowers costs for families on both sides of the border, one that creates good jobs for our workers. Canada has always worked towards these goals, even while America's attention and dedication to them have wavered. We've consistently proposed long-term partnerships.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead to about here.
We take this step reluctantly. Reluctantly because details of these new tariff measures is a focused response to protect and defend our industries and allow them to compete with U.S. products in the Canadian market. In the coming days, we'll release details of these new tariff measures which will come into force the Tuesday after Labor Day. Let me be clear. We take this step reluctantly. Reluctantly because we recognize that some of these measures will raise costs and reduce choice for Canadians. Reluctantly because we recognize that some U.S. companies and some U.S. states are innocent bystanders in a dispute that they did not want. Reluctantly because this trade dispute is preventing Canada and America from doing so much good that we could do together.
And see, this is his charm. This is a good thing to say. These were good words coming out of his mouth. And if you're not plugged into politics at all, hearing this is like, oh, I guess he actually does care. He is very good at performative politeness, at pretending to be the good guy in the situation. And that's what people hear. They don't pay attention to the policies afterwards. Just like in a couple weeks, when he backs down from a lot of this, people aren't going to hear about that either.
But at the same time, we take this step confident that it is in the best interest of Canada. And that by rejecting a bad deal, by standing up for Canada, by focusing on what we can control.
By finally rejecting a bad deal. Just finally.
We will build Canada strong for all. Building at home and diversifying trade abroad is not our plan B. It has been our plan A from the start. Canada will continue to pursue this path to build Canada strong because it's right and because it's working. We're moving rapidly to build major infrastructure. We've already referred 27 nation-building initiatives to the new major projects office, new ports, mines, energy corridors from every region of the country that now represent.
Remember how he was just saying something about the environment? Yeah, what was that quote again? If we go back to what Rachel Gilmore was saying here, that quote, it was, we're living through the consequences of a world that collectively hasn't taken climate change seriously enough. Okay, so that was the quote. And what did he just say here?
5. Building at home and diversifying trade abroad is not our plan B. It has been our plan A from the start. Canada will continue to pursue this path to build Canada strong because it's right and because it's working. We're moving rapidly to build major infrastructure. We've already...
Major infrastructure, you mean the data centers that you've been, okay, data centers?
Referred 27 nation-building initiatives to the new major projects office, new ports, mines, energy corridors from every region of the country.
Mines and energy oh, resource extraction. What's that going to do to the environment, Carney?
That now represent $500 billion in new private investment. Projects that will help Canada build bigger, move faster, and trade more with the world. Grâce à Maison Canada.
Yeah. Well, so that thing that I just said about the environment, yeah, we're living the consequences of the inaction toward just know that we're going to build on it. We're going to make those consequences even worse. Okay, let's just scooch to about here.
Investing $500 billion into our project in North America. The single largest, just last Monday in St. John's, the governments of Canada, Quebec, Newfoundland, and Labrador launched the single largest investment in Canada's history to build the largest clean energy project in North America ever.
Oh, the provinces did they? Mm-hmm. The largest single clean energy project. Okay.
Une deuxième baie James. It will produce enough clean electricity to power every single vehicle in Canada. We're building our economy while taking charge of our security by investing $500 billion into our defense, expanding our shipyards, growing our aerospace industry, increasing.
Just remember that thought there. $500 billion in defense is what Canada will be spending. Just remember that thought right there.
In our cyber capabilities. And we're realizing Canada's full potential as an energy superpower in nuclear, LNG, renewables, and low carbon oil and gas.
Low carbon oil and gas, you say? Is that the clean coal that Donald Trump spoke of? The low carbon? Yeah. It's like, don't worry. This oil and gas that we're extracting, it's low in carbs. Yeah, it's low in carbs. Yeah. It's low carbon resource extraction, because that's a thing. Yeah. So it's not as bad as like normal tar sands oil or anything. It's just it's lower on the carbs.
These are the initiatives that are the future of our country. Canada.
Only they're not, because his focus is on oil and gas, and that is not going to be sustainable in the future, especially with China being an absolute powerhouse when it comes to renewable energy. The world is going to move on, because the world is recognizing that statement he said earlier about the consequences of our inaction towards the climate, well, the rest of the world is starting to actually wake up to that, and they're doing things about it. By doing any new pipelines now, by the time they're actually up and ready and producing oil and shipping it off, there's going to be no demand for it. The public money going into these will just be wasted to bail out the corporations that decide to put their money into it. Because by the time they're actually viable, the world would have moved on. There should not be another single pipeline made, period.
Canada is now the best connected economy in the world. Over the last year, we have signed more than 20 trade and security deals across 5 continents. We completed our most recent deal with the United Arab Emirates in a record 47 days. Canadian businesses now enjoy tariff-free access to 1.5 billion consumers. Over the next 6 months, we'll double that number through new trade deals from ASEAN to India.
Okay, let's skip forward. And this is him speaking at 1.5 speed. Like I said, he's actually a slow speaker. Oh, come on. YouTube gets very mad when I start jumping through a video when I have it on like a faster speed than normal. There we go.
Own best customer. We have the right plan to build Canada strong. We are small and medium-sized businesses respond by that make a statement. We're masters of our destiny. This government is matching that spirit with $25 billion to protect Canadian workers and businesses hurt by American tariffs.
So workers and businesses, but the average person who can't afford anything right now, we're not going to get a bailout. No, it's only the people he deems worthy. My grocery prices won't be going down. He gives out that little benefit every now and then, but that doesn't, that's just drops in the bucket compared to, what the monthly cost of groceries are for a fucking single person. Yeah. No, he's going to bail out corporations. He's not going to bail out people, especially people with disabilities, especially seniors. Those people will be absolutely left behind by him.
We're helping small and medium-sized businesses vacationing in national parks, buying Canadian products, choosing Canadian, small acts of solidarity, repeated millions of times that make a statement. We're masters of our destiny. This government is matching that spirit with $25 billion to protect Canadian workers and businesses hurt by American tariffs. We're helping small and medium-sized businesses respond by investing in equipment and productivity and supply chain resilience. And we're financing large companies to keep large employers operating and to retain their workers. We're helping those hardest hit industries retool and pivot to those new international markets. And we are being our own best customer. We have the right plan to build Canada strong. We're on track and it's working. At the same time, we recognize that some of the biggest payoffs of this plan, of this transformation, will take time. And that's why we're also focused on giving Canadians a boost today and a bridge to that better tomorrow. So we've cut taxes on incomes, on housing, and on gas.
We've cut all these taxes. At the same time, we've cut public service jobs. At the same time, we've cut like all these other things and spending lots on things like oil and gas. We're doing this for the people to make your lives easier by cutting all these taxes, but without like reinvesting in the people and the infrastructure and all that sort of stuff that you actually need. Like we're spending billions to make AI data centers and housing. What housing? Yeah. That's still a crisis.
We've introduced the Canada Groceries and Essential Benefits, up to $1,890 per family, helping 12 million Canadians get ahead. We're stronger.
A one-time payment or a payment a few times a year doesn't actually help people get ahead. It's buying people's votes. That's all that is.
Now than when the United States started this trade war. More unified, more determined, more ambitious. With the strongest fiscal position in the G7 and a resilient economy, Canada has all the resources we need to pivot and to prosper. Growth is accelerating. We're projected to have the second fastest rate in the G7 this year and next. We are creating jobs in this economy at 4 times the rate of the United States. Our non-US exports are up sharply. They're on track to double over the next decade. Foreign direct investment in Canada is at its highest level in 2 decades. It's running at twice the rate of our nearest G7 competitor.
Just a reminder that a strong economy doesn't mean that the people are doing better. It just means the 1% is doing better. The CEOs of corporations and stuff, they're the ones that are doing better with a better economy. But the regular people, again, people who are making minimum wage, people who are just average people out there. You know, our cost of living hasn't changed. It's still getting worse. Our access to health care is still getting worse. And Mark Carney isn't doing dick all about making sure that the provinces actually stand by the Canada Health Care Act. He doesn't care if our health care gets privatized. He's not calling out the provinces for that. So a strong economy is just a cherry-picked phrase that's like, yes, technically it's strong, but it's only benefiting a few people amongst the entire country. It's not benefiting the country as a whole.
Canada. Canada now ranks as the most attractive country in the world for infrastructure investment. Last spring, I warned that America is trying to break us so they can own us. And I promised that that will never, ever happen. We are keeping that promise. Canada is becoming stronger and less dependent on America. We are already giving ourselves more than they can take away. And we are just getting started.
What was that?
I warned that America is trying to break us so they can own us. And I promised that that will never, ever happen. We are keeping that promise. Canada is becoming stronger and less dependent on America. We are already giving ourselves more than they can take away.
He's keeping that promise of being separate from the United States. Now, a little while ago, I mentioned to keep a thought in your head about the $500 billion in spending in defense. Who do you think is benefiting from that? That defense spending is tied in with American corporations. It's completely tied in with American corporations. And so we might tell people, oh, don't buy American booze, which sure hits them with a couple $1 billion or something. But $500 billion in defense spending, a lot of that American military equipment. If Mark Carney actually means any of this, he'd stop that right now. Because having American military equipment, the ability for them to have a kill switch in our military equipment, yeah, no. If Mark Carney was serious about any of this, that would stop now. So again, this is just a way that he skirts around the issue. He's very good at presenting all of this. But even in this speech where he's like, we're keeping our promise, but he chose his words carefully. And he said defense spending as opposed to building our military, meeting that NATO expenditure that the United States wanted. Hundreds of billions of dollars going into weapons of war. American weapons of war. Yeah. I have a hard time believing anything that comes out of his mouth when it comes to actually standing up to the United States if he doesn't stop that right now. If we buy another single piece of military equipment from the United States, then this is just an absolute complete lie coming out of his mouth.
And we are just getting started. As we observed earlier this week in St. John's, Canadians don't submit to the weather, we thrive in it. We don't wait to see which way the wind's blowing or surrender ourselves to the...
Oh, we'll be submitting to that weather, you know, with climate change and all that, but just wanted to get... So that's the end of his actual speech there, but then he did questions, which is why this is so long. And let's see, go to about here.
in terms of, let me say this, in terms of measures on what we U.S.
The tone and previous concessions.
Tom tried that.
Do you plan on reviving certain measures eliminated as what previous concessions, the digital service services tax, the U.S. streaming payments for CanCon, for example, those measures? And
So there's that person saying, so all the capitulations that you did to appease Donald Trump, are you going to reverse those?
Why does it feel like today Mark Carney is going to war, trade war? The tone.
Because we were attacked. Like, you're at war when you get attacked. We got attacked. U.S. put 50%. We waited until the United States decided to actually implement the so-called 338 tariffs. That's fine. We've got the reserves, we've got the resilience, we've got the plan, we've got the focus. We will respond. We're going to focus on what we can control. We're going to build. In terms of, let me say this, in terms of measures and tax and others, we are constantly looking at our tax system, how we can make it as fair as possible, shift the burden to those who are most able to pay, and in a way that incentivizes investment and entrepreneurship. Right.
He got rid of the digital service tax. He got rid of the CanCon tax that the reporter there just mentioned that I haven't really covered because it's just more in the noise. I have that link saved for other projects in the future. He also got rid of the luxury tax, you know, the tax on the ultra wealthy when they buy like their 5th or 6th yacht and things of that sort. So how is he changing those taxes in a way that actually, you know, make a difference? That maybe we can recoup a lot of our losses if we tax the rich and corporations. We could recoup a lot of our losses that way. Instead of just continuously finding ways to cut taxes for those people, for the rich and the corporations. Because all those tax cuts that he spoke of, they don't actually affect us. They just affect the services that money would have gone to. But for the corporations who definitely can afford to pay it, and the ultra wealthy, they're the ones that get the tax breaks.
We are, all elements of the following: build Canada strong. It's not just it is the plan. And so we want builders to put money to work in new businesses, in big infrastructure. We want them to put to work in Canada, and that makes it strong in ways for all.
But we have people already swooning over this. Gail McGowan saying, powerful and historic speech from PM Carney. This was another Davos speech. He's so good at this, and I will grant him. He is good with the words. Mark Carney is very good with the words. He's good with selling the idea. But it's the actual follow-through. And you know, you're hearing me say all this now. We'll see where we are in a couple weeks. Just like when the Davos speech was happening, I was not one of the people to be like, wow, it was so nice to hear somebody, you know, on the public stage, you know, one of the politicians actually say this out loud. Oh, this is going to be a new page and all that sort of stuff. No, I was criticizing it from the get-go because I knew it was bullshit. Just like this speech, all of it is bullshit. Prove me wrong. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong on this. Prove it. Yeah, no. I will gladly come back and say, you know what? I didn't see it. Mark Carney, he had a strategy from the get-go, and I was just too impatient. You know, seeing the people around me who live with disabilities, you know, starving and unable to get groceries and getting kicked out of their homes and nowhere to go. And I didn't see that eventually Mark Carney was going to get around to actually improving this country. And now he did. Okay, so this was just the long game that I was unaware of. Yeah, no, I would love to be able to say that. I would love to be able to say, do you know what? I got him all wrong. I thought he was the worst prime minister of my time. Turns out he's the best. I would love to be wrong. Prove me wrong. So this is also his public statement, Mark Carney's public statement on the whole thing. On Twitter, over the past 18 months, Canada's new government has focused on building our strength at home, diversifying our partnership abroad, and striking a fair deal with the United States. Our objectives in our trade negotiations have been to, you can finish reading that on the screen. It's just a sum up, basically, of what happened. So at midnight tonight, the U.S. intends to impose 50% tariffs on roughly $28 billion of Canadian goods. Canada will match those tariffs dollar for dollar to protect our workers and businesses. This is not the first time this phrase has been said. This has already happened. It's a repeat. It's a remake of the same thing that has already happened. And as with, like, part of the reason why I never really covered the tariff situation is because it's constantly changing. And so here's this speech that everyone's going to remember, but next week or the week after, it'll be different. So yeah, in the coming days, the government will introduce additional measures to support Canadian workers and businesses, to the nearly $25 billion in support of, so we'll bail out businesses, but people are still stuck on their own. Yeah, talking about unlocking new export markets for Canadian businesses. He means oil and gas, which there won't be any new export markets for those in the near future. Canada has what the world wants, and we will not allow any nation to determine our future. We will set our own course and keep Canada strong for all. Now, do I think it's good if he actually follows through with this? Yeah, sure. It's good. It's good. Because, you know, if the United States was saying that we wouldn't be allowed to have trade with any other nation in order to negotiate with them, that is definitely a line. But I just have such a hard time trusting Carney on this. And Crystal Avalos was just replying to that, saying the people who defended the tentative deal as the best we can do, or Carney playing 4D chess, look mighty silly given that even Carney isn't sticking by it anymore. Remember the Liberals partisans who backed the surrender deal? They were willing to give MAGA everything. And that's always been the case up to this point, where Mark Carney would capitulate and people would be like, he's doing this because you can't really negotiate with Donald Trump. Yeah, you can't, so don't. And then Mark Carney would capitulate again. It's like, oh, he's playing the long game. He's trying to win Trump over by doing all this. And now Carney is saying, yeah, we're just going to cut them off. And they're like, that's a good move, Mark Carney. He could have done that at the beginning, as opposed to bending over backwards and kissing his own heels. So some of the premiers had things to say about it. Some of them do want to unify, Team Canada. Lob Canoe, again, I have very mixed feelings about him. But he says good words here.
That the Prime Minister really recommended, and we decided to put the booze back on the shelves. What I would say to Canadians...
So this was, I think, before the speech. So Mark Carney was suggesting that Canadians, that the companies go and put the American alcohol back on the shelves. Even though that wouldn't change much because Canadians aren't interested in buying. So, yeah, just some pushback on that.
Canadians is leave it there. If we put the booze back on the shelves, don't buy it, let it sit on the shelf where the Liquor Mart employees will be putting it, and buy the Canadian stuff instead. We've done an amazing job sticking together in the face of Donald Trump's tariff threats, and I think we should continue to do that. We're going to continue focusing on building up Churchill. We're going to...
Again, in the media, you'll hear a lot of focus on alcohol, putting American booze back on the shelves. And it's like it's taking a social war issue and making it the mainstream media talking points instead of talking about the real issues. And so it's like, oh, the alcohol, tens of billions of dollars in trade there, to distract from the $500 billion going into military spending that American corporations will benefit from. Just think about the alcohol. Don't think about all the murder machines. Think about the alcohol. The thing that doesn't really matter to, the greater whole. Not the $500 billion in defense spending.
Continue focusing on encouraging local business, including our brewers and distillers. And let's send a message that even though the Prime Minister and the Government of Canada might think it's important for us to put things back on the shelf so that they can get this deal and help some of our fellow Canadians, some of their employers, some of their businesses, that we don't like Donald Trump's approach to trade or his way of treating Canada. Very wise people have said you can't get a good deal with a bad person. And I think that rule applies here.
That applied a long time ago, too.
President Trump is the reason we're all paying so much at the gas pump right now because of his misguided war in Iran. And I could go on and on and on about the Epstein files, and you know that I will. But realistically, this is a situation that we're in as Canadians, so we still have agency. We can still make the choice. We can still say Crown Royal is better than Jack Daniels.
Of course, Doug Ford had things to say, and we're not listening to the full 10-minute long thing here, or almost 11-minute long thing, but T-Dot resident just saying, I bet anyone $100 that Doug Ford stole the smarter kids' lunch money as a child. Let's see. Come on. This internet has really been acting up today. Because this should not look like that. It should look like this. You see how it's all squished here? Sorry, I have to refresh this page, apparently. I hate that my job relies on this. Okay.
Tariffs. We had a conversation with the Prime Minister all day yesterday, right up to probably 11:45 when he called me to tell me the news. And I've always said we need to fight these tariffs tariff to tariff, dollar to dollar. And I'm glad he didn't sign that deal because it was a bad deal. It was a bad deal for Ontario. It was a bad deal for the auto sector, the steel sector, and manufacturing sector. And we never started this fight, but I can assure you, we're going to win this fight. We're going to be a United Team Canada. We're going to use every single tool we have here in Ontario. And hopefully the rest of the premiers feel the same way. We have to use every tool in our toolbox to make sure, as Donald...
I hit pause. So just remember that moment where he's like, I'm sure, you know, Team Canada and all of us premiers, we're going to be united in this. Just, yeah. Keep that in mind for the next tab.
Trump is trying to inflict pain on every Canadian that we inflict pain right back until he realizes that we're his #1 customer in the world.
It's delaying when I hit pause. Now remember, Doug Ford was threatening to turn off the power to a whole bunch, like millions and millions of Americans. That would have been inflicting pain on them. Yeah, making millions and millions of Americans suffer like that. Yeah. Keep in mind, Doug Ford is reacting to Trump being a bully the same way a bully acts to a bully being bullied. Like, it's just, Ford is a bully, and he's being bullied by a bigger bully, and so he's just going bully back. That's what he does. And there's a statement that he says later on that is, again, very bully-like.
And yes, they're our #1 customer, but we have to make sure that we look at every single asset that we have, no matter if it's the critical minerals or if it's a steel or if it's a nickel, anything that we have here in Ontario, everything's on the table.
How much pain do you think Ontario is willing to take? Because it will be painful, as you said.
Yeah, it will be painful, but we have a strong, vibrant, diversified economy.
Didn't Donald Trump also say that recently to American people when he went to war with Iran, that is, saying it will be painful, but you know what? It'll be worth it in the long term. So yeah, there are ways that this government, provincial, federal, can deal with this to mitigate almost all that pain. There are ways that they can. This is a wealthy, wealthy nation. It doesn't have to be painful for us. But they don't want it to be painful for corporations. And because they don't want it to be painful for corporations, it's going to be painful for us. Because, you know, they're not going to make those corporations making billions of dollars in revenue a year pay more to make sure that the average Canadian doesn't suffer through this.
We're diversifying around the world, and I think the job numbers speak for itself. Last month, the federal government put out the job numbers, 70,000 jobs, 52,000 were here in Ontario over 4 months.
Okay, I wanted to skip ahead. Is it to... There's no transcript in these freaking Twitter videos, so I don't know where it is, but there is the last quote there that I wanted to get to.
We'll get this finished as quickly as possible. I apologize.
Interprovincial trade do you have any MOUs, eyeing any other MOUs with any other provinces before they want to forward?
Yeah, so we've signed MOUs with 10 provinces and territories. That will 4 to 6%. Folks, we have everything we need to make sure that we thrive and we prosper. So I'm very confident we're going to come out on top. There's going to be a few bumps in the road, but when we stick together, no one can stop us. I just want to thank you. I got to run. Yes, we'll be talking to all the provinces. One more, sorry.
Just question there. So you were of the opinion that the deal was bad on Wednesday. The Prime Minister said that the deal got worse in the last few minutes.
And it did get worse. Yeah,
you were opposed on Wednesday as well?
Yeah, I was opposed. It just wasn't a good deal. But
you were ready to not lift the LCBO ban, for example, on Wednesday?
No, I wasn't, but I'm glad. This is very complicated. And again, I'm going to give the Prime Minister credit one more time. It's very complicated, folks. And, you know.
And because Doug Ford gives Mark Carney credit on some things, a lot of right-wing conservatives will accuse Doug Ford of being a liberal. So they don't view it as like I view it, whereas both Mark Carney and Doug Ford are conservatives. No. They'll accuse them of being liberal because they're not going right-wing enough. But trust me, they've gone right-wing enough. Mark Carney is a right-winger. He's not just a conservative, he's a right-winger.
President Trump, he can't be trusted. Simple as that. He changes the deal. He keeps moving the goalpost. You know, let me tell you about President Trump. President Trump is the type of person that would steal your lunch money the first day. He'd steal the toque off your head the second day, and the third day he'd steal your running shoes. He is not to be trusted whatsoever. We need to stay united. But folks, I have to run to the meeting.
Pause. There we go. Yeah. So there he is referring to Donald Trump as a bully, you know. He would steal your lunch money the first day, then he'd steal the toque off your head the second day, and the third day he'd steal your running shoes. Yeah. And so Doug Ford's response to that is to try to bully the bully back. But remember when he said that, it's the provinces need to unite? And will this actually click over? Oh my God, my internet is acting up right now. Come on. I clicked on this tab. It should move over. You can do it. I don't even have that many tabs open that I normally have for it to act up like this. It probably means that it's time for an update. I hate that. I hate this technology sometimes. See, I've clicked on this new tab already a couple times and it's not switching over. I'm just going to check the SandBox while I'm... the SandBox. Did I just completely freeze here? Do any of you see me right now? Because I don't even see my SandBox moving. Everything seems frozen right now. If you can hear me, please stay tuned until everything unfreezes. The joys of doing live streams. Because here's the thing, I don't even know when it stopped. I don't know if you can hear me now or not. I can check on my phone, I suppose. See how my internet is responding there. No, just completely frozen. Is Google frozen? Okay, Google's not frozen. It's just Chrome is frozen. Or not Chrome, Firefox is frozen. Okay, I think we're getting it back. There we go, live stream. Yeah, I think it's coming back. There we go. Got the new tab up. I'm on Ethernet. No, it's Firefox is acting up right now. Okay, so apparently you guys could see me, so it was good that I was continuing to talk through that. No, it was Firefox. Okay, I'll get back to the SandBox in a minute. It seems to have come back, so we can continue on. Looking over. Yeah, okay. You see, I couldn't even tell if you could see and hear me, Looney Tunes, because my screen wasn't moving at all, so I couldn't scroll through anything. But yeah, no, it's working. Okay, good. We'll get on to it. So, remember when Doug Ford said that all the premiers will be Team Canada? David Dole saying, during the Trump era, right-wing Canadian politicians have shown themselves to be the biggest pushovers, weakest possible leaders we could ever elect. Guess who? Danielle Smith.
Retaliatory tariffs. I know emotionally it feels good to retaliate. I get that. But let's remember what happens when we retaliate. When retaliation happens, it means that everybody who is buying products from the United States are now going to face upwards of 50%, upwards to 50% tariffs. And they're talking about that being on steel, on dairy, on appliances, on agriculture equipment. That one worries me a lot. Retaliatory.
Yeah, Danielle Smith. Oh, I don't think it was a good idea to cross Donald Trump. We shouldn't fight back at all. Not at all. No. No fighting back against Donald Trump is a good thing. She so desperately just wants to be a Republican governor. What a pathetic excuse for a premier of this country. Like, she doesn't even want to be a premier of Canada, of a province of Canada. She just wants her own state. And people, well, they let her. So, but she's not the only politician that is against this. David Dole pointing out conservative MPs side with Trump as predictable as the sun coming up in the morning. Doug Ford is siding with Carney, but he sides with Carney because of all the conservative things that Carney does. But those who need to be standing out as even more right-wing, like Danielle Smith and Jamel Javani, well, they're against it. So Jamel Giovanni, besties with JD Vance, is saying, this is a solemn moment for hundreds of thousands of families across Canada. Well, I guess I don't count. I don't really have a family. I do, but not really. Yeah, I do. In homes on every corner of this nation, working people are having tough conversations about what their future looks like and how they will provide for their families. Make no mistake, since the beginning. Is this? Oh, yeah, he is so trying to make this sound like a biblical quote. Since the beginning. In the public communications, liberal politicians like Mark Carney and Doug Ford. So he's one of the ones that will call Doug Ford a liberal. Have put their political self-interests ahead of Canadian workers. As leaders, I believe it's incumbent on us to be servants for the people who elected us. Oh my God. He told AI to make a tweet that sounds like a biblical verse. And the families who are relying on us to bring home the dignity that comes with a paycheck. I'm not giving up. I will continue fighting for hardworking people in my community and across Canada. I know what it means to have real questions about putting food on the table and for working people to endure hardships. I'm sure he knows all about that. Canadians should know that conservatives are in your corner, and I want to thank Pierre Poilievre for encouraging me to continue fighting this country's working people. In your service, Jamel Giovanni. Oh, okay. I have a little pop-up here. Apparently my computer's running low on storage. I need to move things over. That's what's causing these hiccups. I'll have to do that tomorrow. So that's it for the speech-related stuff. We'll get into a different topic next. So I will close these tabs. Let's see, how bad is it? How bad is it? Yeah, it's really damn bad. I need to move some files over to my external hard drive. Keep on forgetting to do that, ADHD and all. So, go and check the SandBox. Okay, where were we? Okay, looking at the raid. Okay, I think it was right around here. Lefty McLefterson, welcome to the SandBox. Low carb pipelines. Yeah, that's what I'm calling them. He just said they're low carbon, but I'm just calling them low carb. That's basically what he's doing. Hello, Rocky Amused. Welcome to the SandBox. Not sure I've seen you before. Let's see. People talking about buffalo wings. But aren't buffalo wings made of chicken? Let's see. Oh, hello, Soul Life. Nice for you to pop in. Let's see. Okay, just scooching through these. Reference frame, they want to increase the curvature of the K-shaped economy, make it more special, K-like soul life. Mm-hmm. Split mentality. Welcome to the SandBox. Not listening fully live, but Canada's Prime Minister sounds very similar to Australia's Prime Minister. Very similar to... Damn it, I already forget his name. The former Labour leader. His name is already memory old. I talked about him all the time. Fuck. What's his name? It wasn't a Tony. I don't think it was a Tony. It was something else. You know who I'm talking about. Looks like we have a paleontologist enthusiast in the SandBox. Then you should become a member, and you could be a quartz, feldspar, or granite. I know that's geology, not paleontology, but it's all in the dirt. Let's see. I should probably close the Google Chrome tabs just to free up a bit more space to make sure I can actually make it through this live stream. And then it freezes once I close those tabs. Yeah, no, it's I have almost no space left on my computer. I have to move some things over to an external hard drive. I wish it would give me a little bit more warning that it's about to like go all funky on me before that, you know? Before I'm doing a live stream. Darn it. I just closed Google and now it's like, yeah. Okay, I'll close this as well. What else can I close? Oh, there I am back. Okay. Let's see. Everyone could still hear and see me, apparently. So I don't even think it's a Firefox thing. I think it's my computer is like really stuff full right now. Oops. Roxy Muse, fucking transphobia rising, TERFs and you. I will be talking about transphobia and later on. Starmer, right? Keir Starmer is who I was talking about. I can't even remember his name. Rusty likes my earrings. Why, thank you. Okay, why don't we get moving along? Hopefully I have enough room to end this live stream. Oh, okay. Well, how many dockets do I have left? We might have to end early. Well, we'll see how bad it gets. I can close that tab at least. Okay, so here I am here. Let's get back to the news. So, how is this economy going for everyone right now? Like, you know, all these things that the Prime Minister of Canada keeps on promising, Donald Trump keeps on promising and stuff. How's that going? Because the thing is that we see this happening down in the States right now. All the following foods have now been recalled. Trickle up fashionomics. It's coming up here too. This government has already cut spending in food. What's the word? Food examination. That's not the word, but you know what I mean. Yeah, the government has cut spending on food examination. That just sounds really wrong. So yeah, I think it would be a good idea if you're here in Canada, don't buy anything American. Buy local if you can. I know it's not always possible for a lot of people depending on where you live, but here we have frozen blueberries, possible E. coli contamination. Like some of these things can kill people. Pistachio nut butter, salmonella contamination. Salad dressing, salmonella. Soup kits, listeria. Yeah. Dog food, salmonella contamination. Yeah, that could definitely kill some of your pets. Ooh, dried herring fish, botulism. So these are just some of the things that have been recalled in the United States. Just in, let's see, we have July, June, the top ones were August. So this is just in the past few months. All because of RFK's stuff. Oh, and then there's January, February, May. Okay, so this is right back to the beginning of the year, but still, you can't trust the food you can't afford to eat. So a lot of people can't afford to eat, healthy meals. And then when the one time they try to get like frozen blueberries, they get E. coli, like they're shitting and throwing up the consequences of what's happened. So I would strongly recommend to Canadians to not buy American food right now. So what does Loblaws do? Trying to buy Canadian at the grocery store? Loblaws removes signage from produce aisles. Because it's a corporation. Yeah, and corporations always look out for other fascist regimes.
Owned grocery store in downtown Vancouver. This Loblaw-owned grocery store in downtown Vancouver has a large sign proudly touting thousands of Canadian products. But in the produce aisle, finding out where fruits and vegetables come from isn't always so easy. Display signage offering few details. For many items, the only clue to where they came from was the small sticker.
So pay attention to the small stickers, is what they're saying. When you're shopping for produce in the grocery stores, if you don't want to be buying American, take a magnifying glass and look for the small stickers.
Attached to the produce.
I personally don't understand why they would even want to do that, because it could cause people to not want to shop there.
Loblaw confirmed to CTV News it has changed how country of origin information is displayed in its fresh produce aisles, telling CTV News because produce sourcing can change frequently due to seasonality, supplier changes, and availability, we now direct customers to the most current supplier-provided country of origin information available on product labels, stickers, packaging, or accompanying case labels. Just a few blocks away at this Safeway, a different approach. Buy BC, buy Canadian, and country of origin signage is easy to spot throughout the produce aisle. Customers we spoke with say as tensions increase between Canada and the U.S., they're paying closer attention.
Yes, well, Loblaws will continue to buy from the United States if it's cheaper, regardless if it's healthy for us or it could risk contamination and all that sort of stuff, and regardless if Canadians want to buy it. But if it's cheaper for them, they will buy it, and they will try to find ways to sell it to people by doing things like removing country of origin or just flat out lying what the country of origin is.
To where their food comes from.
It's important to me now because of all these tariffs he's planning to put on us.
It's very important for me and for all the people because you should buy like...
Okay. Well, we get it, but Loblaws, who's owned by the wealthiest family in Canada, the Westons, it's not just removing signage to allow people to have informed decisions on the groceries they buy. Nope. They will also do other things. So there's been like meat scandals, bread pricing scandals, all that sort of stuff. Well, now, major Canadian grocery chains accused of negligence for selling diluted maple syrup? No! And guess, yeah, Loblaws is one of them. A class action lawsuit filed in Quebec Superior Court claims Loblaw, Metro, and Sobeys were betraying their customers' trust for years by selling cans of maple syrup from producer of Southwest Montreal that were allegedly cut with cane sugar, even though they were advertised as being pure. You don't fuck with our maple syrup.
A class action lawsuit has been filed in Quebec Superior Court over the bogus cans of maple syrup that were allegedly diluted with cane sugar. The plaintiff originally filed an application for a class action lawsuit in April, naming the syrup producer Érablier Steve Bordeaux. Now, several major grocery store chains have been added, including Metro, Loblaw, and Sobeys. The filing claims they betrayed customers' trust, accusing them of negligence for putting the bogus syrup on shelves. The lawsuit is seeking refunds and $100 in punitive damages per class member.
Yep, no, that. Westons, you have gone too far. You don't fuck with our maple syrup. Put freaking cane sugar in it? But remember, so people are saying we should boycott Loblaws. And so keep in mind, Loblaws is owned by the Westons. The Westons own a whole bunch of chains. So it's also the Real Canadian Superstore, No Frills, Frontino's, TNT, Zehrs, Value Mart, your independent grocer, wholesale club, and Shoppers Drug Mart. So if you want to boycott Loblaws, you have to boycott all those stores. If you can do it, if you can't, I understand, because some people are restricted in which grocery stores they have access to. Speaking of boycotts, don't forget, boycott Tim Hortons for, having Harry Potter themed donuts and drinks. Yeah, they should be boycotted right now, too. Anyway, but remember when Doug Ford was saying, it's all about Canada, keeping Canada strong, fighting back against this, and well, yeah, he's also buddies with Loblaws and the Westons. So Sherry is pointing out the conservative Westons get whatever they want from Ford, including privatizing healthcare. Yes, Shoppers Drug Mart had monopoly on COVID vaccines and testing kits. Now with Loblaws, they're selling out to the USA by removing country of origin from produce. We didn't elect Westons, but we can kick out their errand boys. Yes, the Westons have a lot of say in it. So much so, Premier Ford met with Loblaw CEO one day after dismissing grocery price legislation. So we don't get we get surveillance pricing in Ontario because Doug Ford met with Loblaw CEO. If there was ever a time to boycott,
When it comes to the price at the grocery store, Premier Doug Ford has always been adamant that Queen's Park is not going to interfere and tell grocery stores what to charge their customers. But now some are questioning whether the grocery industry is influencing the Premier's position. It was a multi-party political effort to crack down on a new practice: businesses using your personal data to determine the price point of a product.
We are trying to fight these big corporations that dominate, these monopolies that dominate that industry and therefore control how expensive things are getting.
At Queen's Park, the Ontario NDP and Liberals pushed the Ford government to ban the practice in Ontario, something that was already being implemented by the Manitoba government. But Premier Doug Ford refused.
Is this something that your government would be open to banning here in Ontario?
No. I believe in a capitalist society, free market. The market dictates. If ABC grocery store wants to compete against the other one, that's what the true driver is. Socialism does not work. You go around and
I think socialism would work, actually. It'd be nice to actually give it a shot. Let's just see, because we know capitalism isn't working. That's definitely not lowering prices. Let's do the socialism. Let's try that. But, of course, Doug Ford would say socialism doesn't work because that would hurt his bottom line. All of his buddies wouldn't be making as much profit.
dictating and overseeing every single price.
Global News can reveal 1 day after the premier made those comments, he had a private meeting with Loblaw CEO Paperback. Ford's itinerary shows the meeting took place
by the name. His name is actually Paperback. Paperback.
At the premier's Etobicoke home, and the 45-minute lunch hour meeting was attended by
that's his name. Kind of on the nose.
Single staffer. Neither the premier's office nor Loblaw would reveal the subject of that discussion, but critics say it isn't a coincidence.
It is no surprise to me that Doug Ford is listening, as he always does, to the CEOs, to the CEO of Loblaws, because he's clearly not listening to the people of Ontario.
In a statement to Global News, Loblaw said the company is already on the record as not using surveillance pricing and pushing the broader grocery sector to remove property controls. The CEO, however, is a registered lobbyist in Ontario, and the company has engaged the government on issues related to privacy and data. Ultimately, the efforts by the opposition to regulate the industry were shot down by the Ford government, and the opposition believes the undisclosed meeting had an influence. The government's political critics are also questioning why the premier is meeting with the CEOs of companies at his private residence in Etobicoke. They say there is no public record of these meetings, meaning Ontarians have very little insight into exactly what's being discussed behind closed doors. At Queen's Park, I'm Colin DeMello.
If only we could do like a freedom of information thing to find out what they're right, we can't because Doug Ford got rid of that. Yeah, we can't do freedom of information anymore to find out what he might be hiding. You know, it's not like us average Joes get to have a private meeting with him to talk about issues. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, moving on a little bit. Just to warn people that, you know, there's going to be fear-mongering and stuff in the media. And just... this will be a new thing, I'm sure, coming up in the near future, because this came out from the Fraser Institute. Canadian families spend more on taxes than on basic necessities. And we have senior policy analysis for the Fraser Institute and director of fiscal studies. They look exactly what I think they would look like for releasing this, being like, you know what, this tax burden of ours, spending more on taxes than on basic necessities. So let's just go down to this graph. So we have shelter, food, clothing, and taxes are way up here. Now, I do not like how our taxes are being spent, you know, on military spending and all that sort of stuff. And the cost of housing is its own issue. The food pricing is its own issue. Clothing hasn't actually changed that much. But do you notice what's not on here? So what they're going to try to do is argue we're spending too much in taxes. Taxes need to be cut. This and that and the other thing. It means that the public sector will go even more unfunded. Well, you notice how health care isn't on this little graph of theirs. Yeah. Because a lot of our taxes go towards our health care. So just keep that in mind when they try to fearmonger about like, oh, you're paying so much in taxes. Yeah, I'm also paying nothing in healthcare right now. And just a quick thing from Dushkanu Pierre Polyev. I would still love to see an impression of somebody talking like him for the Davos speech or for the speech that Carney just gave, because it'd be fucking hilarious. But he is such a Weasley little...
Any questions, anybody? Thank you. We'll now open the floor
So a
to
random audience member is like, yeah, I have a question.
questions
Right here. I have a question.
from reporters.
No, I'm just gonna...
Yes. Yes, good to see you, Louise.
Yeah. Any questions? Yeah, I have a question. No, not from a citizen. Oh my God, I'm not going to talk to a citizen. No. Any like reporters here or anything? Ah, fuck. You guys should have had your questions queued up so I don't look like such an asshole right now. Okay, let's close these tabs. My computer's getting really mad at me right now. Okay. Darn it, I still have like 2 dockets to go through. Let's see. You know what? I think I'm just going to get right into the provincial one. It's not terribly long because, yeah, I'm getting worried about how full my computer is. It's really, really mad at me. Actually, I don't think I could finish the live stream. Yeah, it doesn't look like I'll be able to finish the live stream because my computer is basically too full. So tell you what, I can't do a live stream tomorrow because I am busy, but I can do a live stream on Tuesday. I need to move some files off of my hard drive. All these videos that I do take up a lot of room. Let's see, calendar. Yeah, so I'll be able to do a live stream on Tuesday. I can't do one tomorrow, but I'll do one on Tuesday. I do have some good news. I've got a part-time job. Yay! I desperately needed one. So what does that mean for this channel? Nothing. It's a part-time job. I'll still be able to do this and actually afford maybe another external hard drive. So I've been in desperate need for, you know, a regular paycheck and stuff. So I'm absolutely grateful I got it. I'm not going to be telling you where I'm working, but I can say that I don't feel morally conflicted working there. It's a place I actually want to work at. So that is good. Looney Tunes, I can't keep going. My computer is literally about to crash. So let's just check the SandBox quickly. So I don't start my new job until the first week of September. So this week I am dedicated to getting the initial draft of that TYT essay done. And then to unwind from my new job, because I'm super fucking nervous about it too, I'll be working on the newest edition of my book. So that will be a good distraction. But let's just quickly check the SandBox. I'm sorry to have to end this really quickly, but I have 4.01 GB free. And when I last looked at it, it was like 8 GB free. So, let's see. So Life Trump made them switch to sugarcane. Grand Theft Autobot, let the market dictate. If you can't afford the food, starve. Fuck you, Ford. Yeah. Let's see. Looney Tunes, so he hates citizens. Oh, yeah. Pierre Polyev absolutely despises the regular person. You've real abnormal? It should be illegal for Loblaws to remove the destination cunts. I hate them. Yeah. PK disgusted Canadian. This is a sick community. Are you talking about our politicians? Let's see. You've real abnormal. What happened to choice and free market, which capitalists and liberals preach? They literally want to take away choice of what people choose to buy. Capitalists are so full of shit. Hypocrites boycott. Yes, if you can. I understand if you can't because you have no choices, though. I know it's gigabytes. Let's see if it's... Yeah, I don't think I have enough room, and I don't want my computer completely crash before I get things moved off. So I'm going to quickly check to see if there's anyone else I'm familiar with who's live streaming right now. Oh, Jank is live right now. Probably talking about Iran. I doubt he'd be talking about the trade negotiations. Yeah, so I'm hoping to get the TYT essay done this week, the initial draft, because then I'm going to be super stressed out with my new job. It's part-time, so it doesn't mean anything for my channel. As far as I know, I'll still be able to do my Sunday evening live streams. But I'm not sure what it's going to do to my This Space appearances. I will have my This Space appearance this upcoming Wednesday. Minuet will not be there. It will be me, so that I can talk about this a bit more. But I'm not sure if I'm going to have a steady enough schedule for me to continue regularly with this space, which I want to. I want to continue with this space, so that's something I still need to sort out. But for this channel, everything is status quo. And then once I get the initial draft of my TYT essay done, I'll be working on this, getting the new edition. So don't buy my book if you haven't bought it yet. Wait till the new edition is out. Let me just do this. So please do all of that fun stuff. Check out my phone call on the Majority Report, last phone call of the week. Thank you, mods, for coming out. Thank you for everyone who has helped me out financially. I would not have made it this far without your support. A new hard drive, external hard drive, would be very, very helpful. There's one on my Amazon wish list. Of course, the cost of those have been skyrocketing due to, you know, data centers and AI. But if you can help out, really appreciate it. Corvid Black, the draft will be done this week. That's the initial draft. It's going to be about 80 fucking pages long. Oh, it's going to be the most in-depth takedown of anything. You think H-Bomber videos are long and in-depth? Well, hold my beer. So, yeah. But I appreciate you all. Yeah, gotta go. So super short live stream today, like not even 3 hours long. So tune in on Tuesday. I'll finish up with some provincial news, and then I had some other stories that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so stay tuned, I think, with all of that. Salut, à la prochaine. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. I'm Sandy, wishing your tomorrow is better than your today.